Whenever somebody says that I have a fan, I'm like, okay, what do you want? I did that to one of at the Christmas party. For those of you that was there, I was the one who gave the more energetic speech at the Christmas party. And so one of the agents comes up to me and they go, I wasn't rating speeches, but if I was, yours was the best. And I said, what do you want? And he goes, well, now that you bring it up. And I was like, yeah, I knew there was something. So I'm excited. So my plan going forward is to do more of these kind of face live sales meetings, still being available on Zoom, but doing more stuff. My plan is to be in Long Beach next week and then make it to Diamond Bar as well. All kinds of really fun stuff. But what I wanted to talk about today, I don't know. They got it. They understand. All right. So what I want to talk about today is what separates the highest producers from the rest. So just to make sure that on Zoom and in person, I'm in the right rooms, everybody looking to do more production, yes or no?
100%.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Maybe a little. A little more. More is better.
Todd, help. Got here already. No. So there you go. So I wrote down a list of thoughts here. And where I get this from is I have the wonderful opportunity to coach a lot of agents that do a significant amount of production. I've also, through the Mike Ferry organization and coaching and stuff there, had a chance to meet a lot of agents that do a lot of production. And I am an avid note taker. And so whenever I get a chance to meet people or things like that, I'm constantly taking notes. What do you do differently? What do you do differently? And everyone's got their own flair, their own flavor of things that they do. But what I've noticed is that there are some commonalities that if you were to look at all the agents that are doing a certain amount of production or higher, they all have certain commonalities. And that's what I want to talk about today. So this list here is not necessarily stuff that you're going to go, well, I've never heard that before. Okay. And unfortunately, in real estate, that's kind of the gig. There's not a lot of new stuff. And most of the new stuff sucks. Let's just be honest, okay? That's how it works. Buy this lead, or here's an example, iBuyer, new thing in real estate, iBuyer. Well, Zillow had to shut theirs down because they lost $1 billion. And Keller Williams' iBuyer program never even got off the ground. And then Open Door just said they're going to shut down their iBuyer program. So this new wonderful platform in real estate didn't work.
Right.
There was Purple Bricks, this new wonderful platform of real estate, flat fee services, don't worry, the works. And within a year and a half went bankrupt. That's hard to do. In a good market. In a really good market went bankrupt.
Yeah.
I mean, they were running Super Bowl commercials. They were doing all kinds of things. So my point is that there's not going to be really much on this list that you're going to go, wow, what a really brand new idea. Some of it's going to be just a reminder. Some of it might be something that you've heard before, but maybe you just haven't thought of it in a while. And some of it, maybe I'm going to come at it from a different angle. Okay, that's the hope for today. So, and they're not written in any particular order of importance. This is just how they're written on what's the difference between the highest producers and the rest. So let's start with this. The highest producers every single workday do what I call the 4 Ps. Every single workday do the 4 Ps. Now, who can identify, either on Zoom or in person, the 4 Ps of real estate? Give me something.
Preview.
Preview, yes. Prospect. What else? Preview, prospect. What else? 2 more.
Pre-qualify. Present.
Present is 1. Pre-qualify is another good one. That's not quite the answer I'm looking for, though. So present, prospect, preview, and what else?
Practice.
Yes, there we go. So preview, practice, prospect, present. So let's start with practice. Yes, most people forget about practice. That is true. That is true. A lot of people forget about practice. And yet think of your favorite athlete, your favorite singer, your favorite entertainer to any capacity. Do they practice? Yes or no?
Yes.
Absolutely. 100%. right? If your favorite, let's say you're a basketball fan, LeBron James is practicing before and after games.
Yes.
You know, your favorite singer. I just saw something online the other day. Adele's got this residency in Vegas. And they show her an hour before the show, you know, getting the coordination down and things like that. I mean, she gets paid like $20 million a year to do a residency in Vegas. That's more than some of us make.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and she's sitting there practicing. She's singing her whole life.
Yeah.
Okay. So in real estate, we go, Robert, I know the just listed script. Okay. LeBron James knows how to shoot a basketball.
Yeah.
Adele knows how to sing. And yet they still practice. We practice. But I wrote down here under practice. This is one of my favorite Mike Ferry quotes. Poor practice, no matter how much you do, will not make you any better. Poor practice, no matter how much you do, will not make you any better. So anyone ever have a role play partner that does this? Okay, we're going to do the expired script. Okay, so ring, ring. Yeah, hello. So, hi, my name is Robert, Century 21. I'm sure your home came up as an expired, on my computer as an expired list. I'm calling when you plan on doing ready. That's one. Anyone ever had a role play partner do that?
Yes.
That's great. You're reading the script. That's not going to make you any better. Now, I understand the adrenaline is not there as a live thing, but you got to try to make it as real as possible. And don't be afraid to call out your role play partners and say, come on, we got to get better. Okay. Preview. Now, let's be honest. Who here does not preview as much as they should? Everybody raise your hand. Everybody raise your hand. Now, practice, you know, I know people forget about practices, but I think previewing is probably the one that most real estate agents don't do as often, is preview property. Okay. But I wrote down here, every top coach preaches previewing property. Mike Ferry, previewing property. Tom Ferry talks about previewing property. Brian Buffini, previewing property. Whoever you fall in line talks about previewing property. Every top agent talks about the importance of previewing property. We asked Karen Bernardi, how did you get to the high-end properties in Boulder, Colorado? Well, I was just previewing a bunch of high-end properties. Oh, okay. Ed Kaminsky, how did you go from Hawthorne to Manhattan Beach? That's like from 600,000 to 6 million. Well, I was just previewing properties and getting in the marketplace. Bernie Gallerini, Valerie Caro, they all talk about previewing property. Real estate TV shows talk about previewing property. Now, I'm not a fan of real estate TV shows because I know the truth. Okay, but my wife, Amber, enjoys the drama that comes with some of these TV shows. So I happened to be one of the episodes I was watching with her when the show, I think it's Selling Sunset. That's the Oppenheimer.
Yes.
Right? Yes, we've been told. So on one of those shows, I even recorded it and sent it to Neil because one of the Oppenheimer guys he's got this new agent and they're taking him out. He's taking her out to preview property. She's kind of messing around and he looks at her and he goes, "You need to focus. This shit's important." And I apologize for the language. That's what he said on the show.
Yeah.
And I'm going, so even the TV shows with all the drama and all the fakeness is saying the importance of previewing property. And yet in real estate, we go, every coach, every agent, every TV show talks about previewing property, but it's one of the things that's, as a coach, is the hardest to get agents to do. So the question you have to ask yourself is, what is your hang up on going to preview property every single day? And I wrote down here, just looking at the MLS, even though I am sure every listing is described accurately. And all the pictures tell the whole story I have no doubts that's the case. Should you go see properties in person, yes or no?
Absolutely. Yes.
I mean, let me tell you something, folks. Real estate agents and winemakers are the greatest writers in the history of the world. Because a real estate agent, if you look at the description, this magnificent, unreal, magical whisk away into this two-story home with double doors and the chandeliers, and the sparkle of the sun coming into this life. This is beautiful. And then you walk into the property and you're like, this is a fixer.
Yeah.
This is a fixer, right? And winemakers are the same thing. This cherry oak notes, and you're like, it tastes like wine. Thank you. This was fun. Right? So we do that. We think we know the property. Get out and see them. Get out and see the property. So if you just went and saw 2 properties a day, just 2 properties a day, 5 days a week, That's 10 a week. If you did that 40 weeks a year, you would be in 400 homes. Would you know your marketplace better than everybody else?
100%.
400 homes, 2 a day. Do you have time 2 a day to go see 2 properties?
Yes,
Yeah, I'll go and see one before the office and after the office, if nothing else.
Yeah, model homes, yeah,
Model.
there you
Okay,
go, not 4 out.
bring you profit. All right, the third one, I wrote down prospect. Prospect. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we talk about prospecting a lot. So I wrote down 2 notes here on the prospect. On the days you do not prospect, you're out of business. Simple as that. Just turn the open sign over and put closed. Days you do not prospect, you've essentially decided I'm out of business today. Now, sometimes that's okay. We need vacations, we need breaks. Okay. Anyone ever here been burnt out on prospecting? So me and 12 liars. Good. That's great. Sometimes you need a break, but on those days you're out of business. Okay, simply put. And I wrote down here, you need to start every day at 0. Prospecting means start every day at 0. Now, again, be honest. Have you ever had so many deals going on or a deal going on and that you didn't prospect because you already had enough business? Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. You can be honest here. I'm looking at you two on Zoom and a lot of you are not telling the truth. Thank you, Melinda. Right? Well, every day you have to start at 0. Do deals fall out of escrow? Do people cancel? All the time. And if I don't prospect that day and a deal falls out of escrow, I'm negative a deal. But if I prospect every day and I find 2 deals and 1 falls out, I'm still up a deal. Best case scenario, now I have 2 deals. And wouldn't that be great? So every day, Robert, I got 5 listings and 5 in escrows. I'm excited. At 8 a.m., you have nothing. You have nothing in escrow. You have no listings at 8 a.m. At 12 p.m., when we get to admin, then we'll talk about your 5 listings and 5 escrows. But at 8 a.m., you got nothing. You got to go find business. Tony Smith used to tell me all the time, at 8 a.m., you're unemployed. At 8 a.m., you're unemployed and you have to go find a job. Okay, no problem. Every day starts at 0. But I'm sorry, third note on prospecting. Be honest with yourself on what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are when it comes to prospecting. Robert, I love being at the doors. I'm excited. How many transactions have you closed this year at the doors? 0. Good. How's the phone going? Oh, the phone, I've closed 15 transactions. Great. But I don't like being on the phone. Okay. Do you like money? Yeah, get on the phone. Right? Or the exact opposite. Robert, it's cold outside. I don't want to go door knocking. Okay, great. How much business do you get on the phone? 0. Get out, put a goddamn jacket on and go outside. Right? You have to be honest with yourself about what you can and cannot do. And we all have strengths and weaknesses. What about the sources that you're prospecting? Everybody wants to call expires. Not everybody should be calling expires. I preach this for years. Nobody will listen, so we'll move on to the next point. Okay? Because it's just the reality. Well, Robert, there's 900 expires in the MLS. Great. Okay, role play with me. Ring, ring, and then they go, stop. Don't call expires.
Yeah.
But Tony Smith told me to call expired. That's because Tony Smith is good at it. You need work. What about your database? What about probates? What about NODs? Those people also need to sell. Call them. Okay? Be honest with yourself. And then present is the 4th one. Present. Every single day, you should either be on a live presentation or a role play presentation. Every single day. Every single day, either a live presentation or a role play presentation. You need to get in the habit of presenting every single day. And a role play presentation is 20 to 30 minutes. You could figure it out. Okay. But I wrote down a couple notes here under present. Some agents get too focused on handling objections or coming up with a powerful close. Some agents get too focused on handling objections or coming up with a powerful close. The best way to handle objections is to not get them. There is a lot of rain coming down on this roof right now, and I am nervous. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for this
You didn't bring it up to the.
I don't know. I don't know. The best way to handle objections is to not get them. And there's a direct correlation between the quality of your presentation and the number of objections you get. So before you focus on handling objections, become a better presenter. Make sense?
Yes.
Or I focus on having a powerful close. Well, as Mike Ferry teaches us, the close is the natural ending to a great presentation. I'm focused on a powerful close. What's the Mike Ferry close? Will you sign the contract, please? Will you sign the contract, please? I don't think he thought really hard about writing a book on that one. Right? So I wrote down here, you can focus on being a better closer. I'll focus on being a great presenter, and let's see who ends up better. Robert, I'm reading this book on being a great closer. How about reading the script on being a great presenter? Start there. I'm great at handling objections. I'm not, because I don't get them. Wouldn't that be better? Now, we obviously have to be good at handling objections because you're going to get them, but focus on the presentation. Does that make sense what I'm talking about here?
Yes.
The presentation is more important than handling objections or closing, but we're spending too much time on the other stuff. Okay? Focus on being a great presenter. And I wrote down here last, at least once a week, record either a live or role play presentation, watch it, and as hard as this may be, send it to your coach. Or if you don't have one, send it to me. I will watch them, I promise, and give you fair feedback. Now, most agents don't do that. Why? Why don't they do that? Scared, embarrassed, which makes zero sense to me. Robert, I don't like how I look on camera. If you don't like how you look on camera, imagine what you look like in person. I never understood that about salespeople. I don't like how I look on camera. You have a face-to-face job.
Yeah.
It doesn't lie. Wouldn't you rather practice that and see where you need to improve as opposed to doing that in the middle of a $50,000 paycheck? So at least once a week, do that. All right, so we covered the 4 Ps. I wrote down here, think big. Think big. Or think bigger. Some of you need to start by thinking big, and some of you need to think bigger. The biggest reason agents fail is not lack of skills. The biggest reason agents fail is not lack of skills, it's that they don't think big enough. Don't think big enough. Now, these top producers, they think big. Bernie Gallerini had this vision of building a team that was going to make $10 million a year in GCI. That's a lot of money. Most people can't think that big. And now here he is years later, they're going to be about 8 million this year. He's going to get to 10 million. Okay. Jason Penrose wants to make $5 million a year in GCI. He's been trending upward. He's probably going to make $3 or $4 million this year. But we don't, $5 million. I'm just a real estate agent in Marietta. I'm just a real estate agent in Long Beach. I'm just I don't work in Beverly Hills. Jason Penrose works in Scottsdale. Okay. His average price point is not higher than anyone here. His average price point is certainly not higher than anyone in Irvine or Arcadia or anything like that. I mean, Bernie Gallerini is in Tennessee. I don't know what his average price point is, but it's less than here. Okay. But you have to think bigger. The problem we have in Southern California, as far as thinking big, is that we get paid too much per deal. And so we, one, have to justify how much money we just made on how much business we did. And two, because we get paid so much, we don't think about doing more transactions. Because the reality is, God, if you did a deal a month, it's 12 deals a year, you're making 12, 15 grand a year, making $140,000, $200,000 a year. That's a lot of money. I mean, let's be honest, that's a lot of dough. The average income is 45 grand. You're making 140 to 200 grand, it's a lot of money. And that's one deal a month. But see, when you're Bernie Gallerini and your average price point is $300,000, $250,000, he's like, I got to do 25, 30 deals, 40, 50, 60, 100 deals a year to make that kind of money. Now imagine if we took our price point but had that mentality. Forget about the commission per deal. What if I just said, I gotta make 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 deals a year, 150 deals a year. And then with our price point, look at that. We make a fortune. But it's just a matter of thinking big enough that we want to do those types of things. I also wrote down here on thinking big. You have to expose yourself to big ideas and big things in order to think bigger. Let me give you an example. Travel. Anyone here travel a lot? Melinda, where did you just get back from?
The Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic. That's far. Okay. Now, and it's funny because it took me 2 hours and 20 minutes to get here today. And people, and rightfully so, are like, oh my gosh, 2 hours and 20 minutes. I'm like, that's 2 hours and 20 minutes. There's some people like in West LA that won't go east of the 405. Like it's like some like disgusting area. Like, oh my God, east of the 405. Are you crazy? Hey, there's a really great restaurant. How far is it? It's like 30 minutes. No, we're fine. 30 minutes. Like we have to expose ourselves to big things, right? Oh, I really want to go to this massage parlor, this spa day. Where is it? It's in Malibu. Go to Malibu. Go to this great spa that's on the beach or wherever it may be. Okay. I want to go down. What's the place in Laguna? There's a place in Laguna that's very popular. No, I forget. There's a place in Laguna that's really popular and it's got this hotel right on the
You
wall.
need to go to the Golden Door, Robert.
Golden Door. There you go. So, but it's like, oh, but it's in Laguna. Go expose yourself to bigger ideas. Go travel, go see things. There's this giant world out there, but some of us are so local that we're not exposing ourselves to bigger ideas. It's a really cool world out there. You know what I mean? You got to think bigger. I wrote down here, these hired producers, they track their numbers. Track their numbers daily, good or bad. I remember when we interviewed Neil Weichel, who's based in Santa Clarita area, makes a couple $1 million a year. And Neil Schwartz asked Neil Weichel, well, let's talk about he goes, I don't know if you know your numbers. And Neil Weichel instantly was like, I already know my numbers. What's your question? And it was just like, well, how many contacts? And he was like, it's this many contacts. Is this my ratio? This is that. Like, he just knew his numbers right off the bat. That's a guy that does 100, 150, 200 transactions a year. That's hard to track those numbers, but he knows them because he looks at his numbers every day and he tracks his numbers every day. These high producers know their numbers. They know how many contacts they need for an appointment. They know what their ratio is. Okay. And you don't have to be analytical to do it, but you got to track your numbers. You need to know where you stand. You need to know where you improve on. Let me give you an example. If you track your numbers and your closing ratio on listing appointments is low, what do you think as a coach is the first thing I'm going to turn to? What do you think it is? Joey, is that you that said pre-qualified?
Presentation.
No, it's not the presentation. What's the answer? If I see that your closing ratio is low on your listing presentation, but I can only see it because you track your numbers, what's the first thing I'm going to go to?
Perhaps.
Pre-qualified. Karen Maya said pre-qualified. I'm going to go to pre-qualified because I'll bet that if your closing ratio is low, you didn't pre-qualify all of your listing appointments. I can almost guarantee it, which means you went on a presentation and you weren't fully prepared. And that's why your closing ratio is low, or more accurately, you went on listing appointments that weren't real listing appointments. And that's why your closing ratio is low. Well, my closing ratio is 40%. Well, okay, did you pre-qualify? No. You might not have gone on a real listing appointment. That's why your ratio is so low. And then I'll do the exercise to say, why don't you go back to all the listings that you didn't list with and find out if they listed with anybody. And then agents will do that and they'll go, no, they didn't. I say, okay, now what's your true ratio? If you took the people that actually listed, what's your true ratio? 80%. There you go. Pre-qualifying just would have got you to 80%. But you didn't pre-qualify, so you're at 40. But if you don't track your numbers and you say, why aren't I getting these listings? I'm like, we could guess. It could be your presentation's not any good. Could be pre-qualifying. Could be I don't know, are you late? I have no idea. You know? But if you track your numbers, you can know these types of things. Track your numbers every single day. I wrote down here as an example, Jack Welch, who Mike talks about all the time as like, and is widely regarded as one of the better CEOs in business. And if you ever have a chance to read any of the books about Jack Welch or things like that, very phenomenal stuff. He was the head of GE, which oversaw thousands of companies. And he, every single week, every company that he oversaw, which was hundreds, had to give them the numbers every single week. So every company, hundreds of them, every single week on his desk had to have the numbers. What was your sales? What was your retention? What was this? What was it? Every single week. Because he knew that if they were tracking their numbers and if I track their numbers, we can solve any potential problems faster. Okay? Track the numbers. Couple more points here. I wrote down, have confidence. Top producers have confidence they can beat any agent, but respect the competition as well. They have confidence they can beat any agent, but respect the competition as well. So there's a question in the prequel that finds out if they're interviewing another agent. Which question is that?
Do you plan on interviewing another agent for the job of selling your home?
Thank you, Iris. Number 2, do you plan on interviewing another agent for the job of selling your home? Some people have a hard time asking that question because, well, what if they aren't? So do you think Valerie Caro is concerned if they're interviewing another agent? No? Do you think Neil Weichel, Hal Swayze, do you think they're concerned if they're going to interview another agent? Let me give you a hint. They're talking to another agent. How do I know? Because they know someone who's an agent. They know someone who's an agent. They're talking to another agent. They get postcards, they get mailers. They don't get phone calls or door knocks because that's real work. But they get contacts from other agents. They're talking to other agents. And some people, if they said, "Oh, you plan to interview another agent for jobs at your home?" Well, yeah, we are. Well, really? Well, who are you interviewing? Oh, some gal named Karen Bernardi just moved from Colorado and she moved to Marietta. Oh, God. Should I even go? You know what? You should just list with her. Thanks for your time. I don't want to go. That's what some of us would do. The reality is like, cool. You want to know why I would get excited if it was Karen Bernardi? Because Karen Bernardi's not going to go on a presentation unless it's a motivated seller. So my mind goes, if Karen Bernardi's going, I got a motivated seller. Yes. Let's go. Let's get it. And plus, I get as a salesperson, you need to be competitive. Well, we've talked about this before, but I'll bring it back again, developing a winning mindset. As a salesperson, you need a winning mindset. So when I hear a Karen Bernardi, I hear Hal Swayze, I'm like, yeah, let's go. My competitive juices start flowing. I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat him, and then I'm going to call him and tell him I beat him. Hal, guess what? I just signed the contract. And then he's going to say, all right, well, let's go after the next one. No, we're good, thanks. I just want to know I'm one up on you. Right? But you got to have that competitive juice. Who cares if they're interviewing another agent? Why can't it be you? So I bring her up a lot because she's like my version of a Michael Jordan real estate. That's Karen Bernardi. Now, for those of you that don't know who Karen Bernardi is, she's in Boulder, Colorado. In her career, she's made almost $70 million in commission in her career. Not volume, commission, okay? So I always think of her as like the Michael Jordan of real estate. Do you know what her closing ratio is on listing appointments? 88%. So you're right in the ballpark. Now, that's really high. But think about this. Why would anyone in Boulder, Colorado not list with Karen Bernardi? It makes no sense. Again, she's too big, but it makes no sense. It's like, hey, I'm the #1 agent in the country. You should just, it should be like, yeah, no problem. And yet she goes on 200 listing appointments a year and 24 people say, now we're good. Why can't you be one of the 24? 24 people tell her, no, I'm going to list with somebody else. Why can't you be one of the 24 that beats Karen Bernardi? And take whoever else is in your area that you go, God, they're a really great agent. We do this with farming. Oh my God, so-and-so farms in that area. So? I don't care who farms in the area. I farm there now. Now you have to deal with me. But if you don't have that mentality, then don't go on the presentation, refer it out. because you're going to lose anyways. But now I respect them. I would never badmouth anybody because that's why I would never be, I can never be a politician. Because politics is just badmouthing the other person. I'm like, I don't badmouth people. I just want to tell you how great I am. Okay. So I respect the other agents. I'm never going to badmouth anybody. I'm never, oh, don't do that. Don't do this. I'm just going to tell you why you should list with me. And I'm pretty confident that what I tell you is you're going to see that you need to list with me. That's what I'm talking about. That you can beat any agent, no matter who they are. Okay. I wrote down here, last point in this, Mike Ferry does this all the time. If you go to a Mike Ferry event, he'll always say, your worst nightmare is if I get my real estate license to become a listing agent in the marketplace. My answer that you should be, well, why don't you get your license and let's find out. If any of you repeat that to him, I will lie. I will lie if any of you run to Mike Ferry and say, guess what Robert said. But you get the point. You get the point. No, Jesse, we can edit that, right? We can edit that. And he's just going to dub over. And it's just going to say, he's going to dub that over and be like, if Mike Ferry said that he could do that, and then there's going to be like a dub over that said, he's the best. And then that's what the recording is going to be like. And Mike's going to be like, good job, Robert. Yes. Thanks, Mike. All right, last couple points here. I wrote down here, they run a profit and loss statement. They run a profit and loss statement. Highest producers run a profit and loss statement. You're a business. You have to operate as a business, and businesses run profit and loss statements. Now, here's the most important thing in your profit and loss statement is your time. That is the most important part of a profit and loss statement is your time. You need to figure out what your hourly rate is. And then you need to calculate how much time are you spending on activities, and is that activity generating money? It's not the dollars, it's time, because that time can be invested in something else that does generate money. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Well, Robert, this doesn't cost me any money. This networking group doesn't cost me any money. It's a free group. So there's no loss. How much time are you invested in it? Well, 2 hours a week, 2 hours a week. Let's say you did it for 40 weeks a year. That's 80 hours. You're invested in it. What's your hourly rate? Well, my hourly rate is $600 an hour, right? So we're talking about what, 48 grand, 80 hours, $600 an hour, $48,000. Has that networking group netted at least $48,000 for you? Nope. Well, then it's a loss, even though it's technically a free networking group. You understand kind of how it's the time, because we don't spend a lot of money on a lot of our stuff, hopefully, right? But we belong to this group, and I belong to this board, and I go to this meeting, and I do this, and I'm a belong to this. Because if I belong to all these groups, I'll get referrals. Hypothetically, yes. And for some of them, maybe. But are they generating money? Because they're taking time. You have to evaluate profit and loss, not just based on dollars and cents, but time. Okay, so you run a profit and loss statement. I wrote down here on that point, they operate from a profit-driven mindset, not an ego-driven mindset. Operate with a profit-driven mindset, not an ego-driven mindset. So let me give you the difference. Buying leads to generate deals for a lot of people is not a profit-driven activity. Some people it is. Some people it's not. But I got the deal, ego. I spent $100,000 on leads. I closed 12 transactions. Great. You're one of the highest producers in the office. But you generated that from ego, not profit. Let me give you an example. There's a guy, I've shared this story before. There's a guy in our general marketplace here in Southern California, a couple of years ago, on paper, one of the highest producers. Guy makes about $500,000 a year, has all these awards, all these top producer units, all this other stuff, right? So I was having a coaching conversation with him, and we were going over his numbers. And I was like, well, where's your business come from? Well, I get leads, okay? So we started, short story, we dive into this leads. He was making $500,000 a year. He was spending $400,000 on leads a year. So now, at the end of the day, it's 100 grand, still a lot of money. But ego, I got all these awards. I'm a top producer. Look at all my numbers. Look at all this. Look at all this. Look at all this. Ego driven. It's not profit driven. And yet some agents do that. I could share story after story after story of you. Oh, I got this, but you paid for it. I got this listing. Well, how much did you charge? 0.5%. You paid for it. That's not profit driven. But guess what? On social media, I'm a rock star. Look at all these listings I have. Look at all these deals I have. I charged 0.5% commission and paid for staging. I made $300 on this deal. Robert, I don't know if you know that, but that got me 600 tacos. They get 2 tacos per buck. Yeah. But on social media, I'm a rock star. And in the company meetings, look at me. Oh my God, Robert got another listing, So, ego driven. If the real estate industry had any guts, they wouldn't give awards for units. They'd give award for profit. Now, the real estate industry has no
Most
guts.
agents won't say that.
No, they won't, because in real estate, not a lot of money we make.
Yeah.
Don't talk about how much money you made on the deal. You charge 3%. Oh my God, you made 30 grand on that deal? Yeah. Yeah. The seller made 900 grand. I made 30. But in real estate, we're not allowed to talk about how much money we make because we're overpaid. So we give awards for units, even if they're bought. Top producers don't operate from that. They operate from a profit-driven standpoint, not ego-driven standpoint. Okay. And I wrote down here, I know we're right at 1 o'clock, so we're going to the last couple points here. I wrote down, they have a clear understanding of their goals and they keep their goals in front of them every day. Have a clear understanding of their goals and keep their goals in front of them every day. Anyone here ever been guilty of writing out goals in January and then not revisiting them until next January? A year is a long time.
Yeah.
A year is a long time. Some people ever have the same goal year after year after year. If you're not accomplishing it, it's because it's not really your goal. And you have to keep your goals in front of you. I wrote down here, this is my favorite. This is a Robert Hertel saying, one of his very favorites. If you don't know what you're going to exchange the money for, you won't do the work.
You know what?
If you don't know what you're going to exchange the money for, you won't do the work. Well, Robert, I want to make a lot of money. What are you going to do with money? Because if you don't have a clear understanding of what you're going to exchange that money for, you're not going to do the work because prospecting sucks. Nobody goes, you know what I really feel like doing today? I have the whole day to myself. You know what I really want to do? You know what I really want to do today? Want to go to the beach? I don't know. Want to go snowboarding? Spa day? No. You know what I really want to do? I want to hit my dialer and I want to make like 200 just listed calls. That's what I want to do. I got the whole day to myself. That's what I want to do. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. But you got to know what you're going to exchange the money for to say, hey, no, I want to make 200 just listed calls today because I need this much money to do this. And if I don't do this, if I don't make those calls, I don't get to do this. You need to know what you're going to exchange the money for. You're not going to do the work. Nobody wants to prospect. Oh God, this is so fun. I got rejected. I got hung up on again. Let's dial again. Smile and dials. Here we go. Hey, how you doing? This is so much fun. Hung up on again. But if you don't have your goals in front of you, you're not going to keep doing that. You're going to get hung up on once and go, to hell with this. Done. You got to know what you're going to exchange the money for. Highest producers know what they're going to exchange. And here's the biggest problem we run into. The truth is, the biggest problem we run into with goals. We're not honest about ourselves with what the goals are. Because the reality is, we don't want to admit that we're superficial.
Right.
Biggest problem real estate agents run into when it comes to goals. And I only say real estate agents because I only coach real estate agents. This probably happens to everybody. But everybody goes, well, what's your goal? Oh, I really want to pay for my kids' college. Okay, that's a really cool goal. And then 2 weeks later, you're not prospecting. It's like, you don't care about your kids' college fund. What do you really want to do? I really want to go to Greece. Great. There's your goal. There's your goal. But we go home, you know, Robert, I really want to, you know, pay off my parents' house. That's what I really want to do. Oh my, that's so nice. That is such a sweet goal. Your parents raised you. You were probably a little brat. Now you want to repay. God, that's so great. That's great. That's great. Great. 3 weeks later, I can't find you. What do you really want to do? I want a yacht. Okay, then the yacht's the goal. Parents can pay off their own house. Don't give them food. But that's the problem we run into with our goals if we don't want to admit that we're superficial. So we try to do this really deep. Now, some of it's true. Some of it really is. You know, Neil's talked about this before. He really wanted to pay off his parents' house. That's where I get the parents' house. Now, Neil, well, okay, amiable, sure. Right. So some people that really is. It's paying for the kids' college fund. It's paying off the parents' house. It's funding the retirement. For some people, it really is. For a lot of people, it's not. But that's why we fail with our goals, because we're not honest with ourselves. We have to think it's too deep. No. Look before I got married, my only goal in life was a yacht in Marina Del Rey Harbor. That was it. That was my only goal in life, was a yacht in Marina Del Rey Harbor. I live in West LA, so Marina Del Rey is right there. Okay. I got married. I don't have any more goals. That was the end. That was the end of the goal list. That was the end of the goal list. All right, let's revisit the form. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I didn't want, oh yeah, you're right. Boats are expensive. Well, we got to be honest with ourselves about goals. That makes sense? Okay. All right. The wedding, we had 13 people in the wedding. So no, the wedding was not.
The baby's wedding.
Oh, the baby's wedding?
White souls.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a wife. Honey, we had 13 people at our wedding. I recommend that. We got married at the beach, public place. My wedding was $500, honey. I recommend, it was beautiful. Do the same. Daddy will pay for it. Daddy will pay for it. Here's the Capital One. Have a ball. No, that wedding is, the reality is that wedding's paid for. Okay, that wedding's paid for. We did get the boat. Okay. Because we had the goals and we did things like that. But yeah, it took a little more convincing than I originally planned. All right, good stuff here. All right, last couple points here. I'm going to do the last 3 points. The database is their gold mine. Highest producers, database is their gold mine. Is it okay that I'm going over?
Yes.
Is everybody okay that I'm going over? I want you to know it doesn't matter, but I'm going to ask anyways. All right, last couple points. Database is their gold mine. What's the highest source of your business? So here, database. Is it the source that you prospect the most? Thank you for being honest. Okay, I'm looking at Karen. Karen goes,
It's an iPhone.
her iPhone. But we do this all the time, right? We do this all the time. Or our database is my gold mine, but I'm spending the first 2 hours contacting expireds. Again, I'm not trying to pick on expired. Well, maybe I am. Okay, because it's just the reality is everyone's in a race. Well, I got to call expireds at 6:30. Why? Why? Oh, my database, I'll get to them. Makes no sense. Your database is your gold mine. Your database should be your first calls of the day, not calling expireds at 6:30. Oh, I want to get beat up to start the day. Good. Or I can call my database when I have my highest energy, highest enthusiasm, highest motivation. I just role played. I'm going to call the people that give me the most money. When I'm tired, I'll call them expired because they don't give me shit anyways. So if I'm gonna throw away a contact, it's not gonna be on my database when I'm exhausted at 11:30. Why would I do that? But we don't. I gotta call the expireds first thing. I gotta call the for sale by owners first thing Monday morning. Why? Why don't you call your database first? Those are your money makers. Give them your attention. Give them your energy. Right? I wrote down here, why do you give less time to people who fund your business? I do this in coaching all the time. Database is 80% of the business. Okay, great. How much of your prospecting time went to it? 30%. Why? Why did you only spend 30% of your time on 80% of your business?
Good.
We do that all the time. And then here's what I wrote, the other thing I wrote down on database. Do you give the same effort and professionalism to a come listening lead versus an expired? Do you give the same effort and professionalism to a come listening lead versus an expired? Because what I find sometimes with agents is it's a come listening lead, so we kind of get a little more laid back. I'm not going to pre-qualify. I'm not going to ask all the questions. I'm not going to do that. So the person who likes you and wants to use you again and is giving you business, you're not going to give them your absolute best in return? Isn't it possible that the reason they're giving you repeat business is because of your professionalism and effort the first time? And so your response is, okay, come listen, call. But an expired, I'll wear the good suit. Yeah, we do that with our database all the time. Your database is your gold mine. They should be treated as such. And then I wrote down here, highest producers, they set standards for their business and don't lower their standards even when things are not going well. They set standards for their business and don't lower their standards even when things are not going well. Now, be honest. Who here has ever been guilty of saying, I'll take a listing anywhere? I need a listing. I'll take a listing anywhere. Oh, I thought you said you want to stay within 10 miles of your office, Robert. I'll drive to San Francisco right now. I need a listing. Okay. Maybe not San Francisco. Okay. Chula Vista. Yeah, fly to San Francisco. There you go. I'll go for a weekend. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Only the pretty parts, though.
Only the pretty parts? Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. La Jolla. Is that better? Is that better? Corona del Mar, La Jolla, Chula Vista was no good. Okay, got it. My fault. My fault. Bad example.
Setting standard.
Yeah, there you go. Setting standard. There you go. There's my standard. Chula Vista, out of the question. Other parts of San Diego, maybe. Okay, La Jolla, yes. Pacific Beach. But you have to set standards for your business, right? What's the minimum amount of commission you'll take? But be honest with your standards, okay? Because you will take less than 3%. I'm not going to take anything less than 3%. Be honest, right? 6% total. It's okay to be honest. Okay, but I'm gonna pre-qualify every time. I'm gonna make sure I make this much money per transaction. Because the reality is, if it was a $4 million listing with a motivated seller, if they only wanted to take 1.5%, you'd take the listing. Because you're gonna make 40, 50 grand on it. So maybe it's not a percentage, maybe it's a dollar amount, minimum standard. Maybe it has to be, I'm only willing to go a certain above whatever my suggested price is. Standard. I'm only willing to go with certain radius. But here's where that separates the top producers. They don't lower their standards if things are going bad. I don't have an active listing right now. Sure, I'll lower my standard for my commission. I'll lower my standard. No, don't do that. You want to be one of those types of agents. They have blind faith that, look, I know I don't have a listing right now, but if I do what I'm supposed to do, and I do it at the level I'm supposed to do it, I'll get the listing. Make sense?
Yes.
So be honest, set some standards, be honest with yourself what the standards are. I mean, Melinda has no idea what a house looks like outside of Long Beach. She's smiling. She has a listing in Whittier. I don't know what the hell happened there.
That's only 8 miles, Robert.
Yeah. I know that. I understand that. But 8 miles to you might as well be Chula Vista.
Well,
That's
I've
like-
never been to the house. Only Savannah has.
Okay, there you go. See, I knew there was something. I knew there
That still
was
works.
something. I knew there was something. So you need to set standards. Okay. Questions on anything we went over today? No?
What have been your biggest challenges? I mean, if you've had any lately,
A couple.
with doing some.
With listing presentations? Biggest challenge is from a listing presentation is getting people to understand the marketplace. You know, so give you an example would be, well, we want to list it, Robert, we really want 900,000. Okay, and now I have to make sure that they understand that that's not going to work today. We got to list it at 850, 860, 870, things like that. Because it takes, Mike Ferry taught this years ago, and it never really made sense until right now. Okay. And what he told me years ago was it takes the general public 6 to 9 months to catch up to the reality of the real estate business. And roughly around April is when the rates really went up and things started slowing down pretty significantly. Now, we as quality agents are saying, hey, market's changed, market shifted, you know, we got to adjust pricing more accordingly, things like that. But the general public is like, what are you talking about? My neighbor just sold their house and it sold in 3 days and they had all these offers and all this and that. It's like, it takes them a while. So we're still kind of, for some sellers in that range of, have to explain to you reality of what's going on. And this is why we need to price it here. And the way you do that is you just show them market stats, go to InfoSparks, go to the MLS, show them different things, provide accurate comps. And then here's a really great question to ask when you're going through that is to say, based on the comps, do you disagree with anything? Because now you're putting it back on them to try to come up with an answer as to why it should list at 900,000. Instead of me just telling them, hey, we should list at 850. No, I don't want to hear that. I want to list at 900. Okay, let's look at these. Based on this, is there anything you disagree with? No. Okay. Now they have no way around it because they've agreed with what I've provided to them. That's the challenge. Is they're just not fully caught in the market. And the other problem that comes with that is real estate agents lie. Because they might be desperate or they might not know what's going on. So, but this agent told me this. Again, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. So let me ask you this. So here's a great way to get around that. Did they provide you any comps that I did not provide you to validate 900,000? Did they provide any comps that I did not provide to validate 900,000? And the answer more likely is going to be no. Okay. They just said I can get it.
Right.
They just said I can get it. Okay, great. And then depending on their personality style is how I would handle it. Okay, but they just said I could get it. Okay, I understand that. They just said they could get it. What are they going to do? What are they going to do to get it? Well, they're going to do a ton of marketing. What does that mean? But this is what I would ask them because real estate agents they're vague. This is why our agents could stomp every agent out there because we would be specific. Well, they're going to do a ton of marketing. Well, what does that mean? Well, they have a big database. Well, what does that mean? They're going to do open houses. Oh, what a concept. They must be the first ones to ever come up with that idea. You know, they know a ton of investors. Oh, God. They know a ton of investors. For $100, I could go get 100. $100, Mr. Marcel, $100. I can go get you 100 investors. An investor's not going to pay you $900,000 for fun. You know what? Because I'm an investor, sure. Okay. Your house is only worth $875, but you know what? I'm an investor, which means I'm pretty smart with my money. This seems like a smart idea. Overpay for home.
This is Armin.
You know what I mean?
Randy,
So
I am watching Robert.
there it is. So
Sorry, Robert.
you're fine. I'm going way over. Hopefully it's entertaining.
Supposed to be doing role play.
I have no idea. so I would ask them those questions. What are they going to do differently to get you 900,000? Because the comps that I provided suggested 875. They did not provide any additional comps. No, they didn't. Okay, great. And what are they going to do? Well, they're going to do a ton of marketing. Okay, good. Well, I don't know what any of that means. So, Mr. and Mrs. Stone, let me ask you this. Have you reviewed this plan of action that I provided to you, step by step on what I'm going to do to get homes sold? Okay, number one of them is that I'm going to contact every homeowner within a mile radius of your house to see if they know somebody. That's going to be 250 people. They're going to get my message. I'm going to send this to every agent in our company, which is the number 9 Century 21 company in the country. And I'm going to send it out to all their agents to see if they have a buyer for your property. Okay. On top of that, I have 250 people in my database. That's 80% of my business. They like working with me. I'm going to send them your listing to see if they have anyone that might want to buy your property. Okay. So on top of that, just because you're listed with Century 21, well, take it back. You list with the MLS is going to send it out to 500 different websites. So they'll take care of the national marketing. And then Century 21 sends it out to all of the Century 21 offices, which is 14,000 offices worldwide. They're going to take care of the international marketing. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've taken care of the local, the MLS taking care of the national, Century 21 is taking care of the international. Do you honestly think that that other agent that gave you a bunch of vague terms has any chance of getting you more money than I am? No. Sign the contract, please.
Not like me.
Okay? I just want, what did they show you? Because Todd, you're right. That's what they'll say. Well, they just said they could. Okay, cool. And that's how I would just handle it. I would just take care of it that way. Okay? But that's the challenge, is that. And then the obvious other challenge is, well, it's the time of year. We want to list after the first of the year, which we have objection handlers, call me after the holidays, but I'm here now. I'm here now. Why are we waiting? Is this an important decision? Is selling your house an important decision right now? Yes, it is. Then why are we waiting 3 weeks? If it's important, we should do this now. If I had a flat tire, I would get it fixed now because it's important. Selling your house is important. We should talk about it now. Because I don't know what's going to happen in 3 weeks. What if rates go up a point and a half in 3 weeks? Do you think that will help or hurt your price? Oh, so why don't we talk now? Okay. No idea what's going to happen. So you just have to try to get them to move forward a little bit faster in those types of things. Worst case scenario on the holiday stuff is one of my favorite closes. They'll say, well, let's wait till after the holidays. Okay, is it because you're busy during the holidays? Yeah, we're busy during the holidays. What days specifically are you busy? You need to ask that question. Overcome that objection. Because people are dramatic. Oh my God, the holidays. Holidays, I'm so busy. What days specifically are you busy? They're going to say Christmas.
No one's working on Christmas.
You know what, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? I'm going to honor that. I'm going to honor that. Christmas. What else? Well, we got to get the house ready. Okay, Christmas Eve. Tell you what, I'll even give you the 23rd. How about that? And then how about 2 days afterward? I'll give you that 5 days. Is that that should be plenty of time, right? Oh, that's plenty of time. Great. So here's what I'll do. I will continue to accept offers on that. I will continue to accept offers on those days and show that. Sound good?
I like that.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. Perfect. It's not gonna bother you while you're cleaning your house, although it probably would show better after you cleaned it. I don't know. When are you cleaning the house? The 23rd. Can I please show it the 24th? Your house will never look better. Just an idea. But the line is, what day specifically are you busy? Christmas Eve. Great. I'm not going to bother you on that day, especially this year, Saturday and Sunday. Don't worry about you. 23rd, great. 26th is Boxing Day. Great. You don't live in the UK. Sure, Boxing Day. Let's do it. That's a holiday. All right. My wife's company is based in the UK, so they get the 26th off. It's most ridiculous. Right? Great, no problem. I won't show your house on those days, but I'll accept offers on those days. Is that okay with you? That's great. Perfect. Absolute worst case scenario is at least get the contract signed if they don't want to list it. Look, let's get together to at least go over the terms of your listing. Can I explain why? Yes. Would you agree that most people are also going to wait till after the year to list their house? Okay, great. So what's going to happen is that the first, second week of January, people are going to start talking about listing their house, and then their house is going to get listed third, fourth week in January. If we can get together now and come to an agreement on price, terms, marketing, all those things, to get the contract signed, I can get all my stuff ready. And that way, the first week of January, you hit the market, which gives you about a 2 to 3 week window where you're prime property before all the other listings hit the market at the end of January. Now, would you rather be prime property or list with everybody else? Prime property, great. If we meet now, we can do that. If we wait till the first week of January to meet, then you're just going to be the same as everybody else. So we don't have to put it on the market right now, but let's at least meet to go over all the terms. Make sense? Good. Good. All right, good stuff. Anything else? Is this helpful?
Yes.
Was it good?
Good.
All right, that's all I got. I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for all of you wonderful people on Zoom. All right, so what do we got?